Alright, here we go with another build video. This time I am going to be showing my Vanguard fighter build. This is a tanking build. As you can see, I'll start with my gear. I do tend to focus on defensive stats. I just love it. I mean, Barkhide honestly is the best tanking chess piece in the game right now, it seems like, with the 3% less damage anytime you take a big chunk. I am capped out on all my stats. I use the burner set currently. I do have the Lionheart shield. I just haven't been lucky enough to get the main hand yet. Once I do, I'll definitely be using it. It is by far the best set in the game, especially for tanking. You can see I'm using the reflective set. I just really like the reducing incoming damage and raising defense and deflection for my companion or for my party members. I use demonics everywhere for defensive slots. I do still run negation. I know a lot of people are not a fan of it, but I like it on both my tanks. I am running Vorpal. I'm just at the moment honestly saving up for something different, but it helps a little bit with threat at least. And when I go DPS for grinding. You can see a lot of what I have is hit points, stamina regen, reduce incoming damage, all that good stuff. Yeah, my gear is pretty top-ended. You can see my stats all set, ready to go. My hit points are still low, but I do not have a legendary mount with hit points on this guy yet because, well, all my good stuff's on my paladin. Here's my companions. Still running all the basic companion gear. I haven't switched over to the new stuff yet. I will pretty soon. Run armor break on everybody, honestly. This is a stacking debuff now, so if you have 5 people in your party, you all run it. And it procs. The bosses are just minus 10,000 defense. That's huge. I run a lot of hit point stuff. Well, this is cap deflection. Hit points deflection, hit points crit avoidance, hit points. Rank 15s. You got. Once you get there, you're gonna love that you got there. Mounts. Just every character is essentially the same. Honestly, I run 3 Gladiator's Guiles, an Artificer's Precision to help with cooldowns, and a Cavalry Warning because everyone has. All my main guys have that legendary, and it's a great buff. I run the Carpet, which is awesome. That's my legendary mount. It's great for pulling things in. It's just another awesome maneuver. And I'm using 5k power right now. I don't really have a better choice that fits with my stats. A lot of it just doesn't do too much for me right now. I am going to eventually be changing to the 50k hit point mount on this guy too, but that's another 14 million or a lucky key. Here's my boons. I am using mirror incoming damage because, well, I think it's amazing. And if you notice, all power, all hit points, stam regen, recovery speed, movement speed. I mean, you guys know what these stats are. You can always look at your own and see. Boons are still important, I feel. A lot of people don't use them, but I really like them. My guild boons, power, hit points, ride speed. If you're in tome, revive sickness, of course. Powers. I really like Cleave. I use Cleave in conjunction with Tide of Iron. It gives me an AoE threat generator that's on at will. I use Shield Slam because it's a great little knockdown for all those little buggers who like to. Now this is my general trash stuff. All those little buggers who like to stun people and all fear people, all that good stuff. Line Breaker for a little bit of a dash and an AoE taunt, and Shield Throw to give me instant threat and fast cooldown, really fast cooldown. For trash, I use Earthshaker, just a quick AoE slam. Get used to using Dig In. Great mechanic. Really, really great mechanic. When I am running trash, I run Greater Endurance because it gives me extra run speed so you can stay ahead of those DPS who like to fly past us. And I pretty much always have shield talent going just for the extra stamina regen. Stamina regen's really great. And then when I go into boss fights, I tend to mix it up a little bit. I use my shield throw, shield slam there, and depending on the boss, in Tome or in LoMM, I use Bull Charge. So I'm using Shield Throw, Bull Charge, and Anvil of Doom. And I also turn on my Anvil of Challenge, so that Anvil of Doom is also a taunt. So I've got 2 taunts, 1 range taunt, 1 up close taunt, and something to close the gap if something gets away from me. I also equip Second Wind for everything, except for the final boss in Lair of the Mad Mage. I use Phalanx there, because that way at the very end, after the towers are charged and blown up and he does his big shot, I can throw a Phalanx out to help protect everybody by 20%. It's really beneficial. Now this stuff is all, what works for me, right? What works for you could be different. I use the Shield Thrower feat so that it can be a taunt and it has a faster cooldown. I use Rising Tide, and that's what gives my Tired Iron that threat. I'm using Combat Balance right now so that to decrease the amount of damage I've taken. I'm still working on getting my crit avoidance and deflect up. I'm going to have all of them sitting at 80k, including awareness, because that will give me that all the time 10% damage reduction. So that's what I'm pushing for right now. I've got a couple of new companion pieces I'm going to play with to get there. Bladed Rampart, great for reducing combat advantage, but at the same token, you might want this one. However, the 180-second cooldown I don't really like. That's the whole reason I didn't pick it. I don't use Retaliate at all, so I like Deep Breathing better, so that when I dig in, I can do the stacking damage and healing received buff. I mean, come on, 12%. That's a lot of damage and healing right there, and it's not that hard to get stacked up. You go taunt, dig in, 1, 2, 3. There's a stack. Taunt, dig in, 1, 2, 3. It's pretty easy. I do not change my at-wills for boss fights. And yeah, that's my Vanguard tanking build in a nutshell. Hopefully y'all like it. If you have any questions, feel free to hit me up in game. Chrome the Reaver, Chrome, they're all Chrome. Notice this is Chrome the Protector. All my guys are Chrome. They're all Silver Ravens. Feel free to reach out and I can help with advice or whatever. Best of luck and continue on.